part two of Reconsidering the Obvious. You've reached Talking with Dr. Terry, 180 Seconds to a Better You, message number 526. Remember the three generations that trimmed the edges off their steaks before cooking it? Yet two of the three didn't know why? The first person to have done it said it was to get her steak to fit in the pan, but the others just followed along without ever questioning why. So let's take a look at one type of reaction that seems obvious to us. We'll examine behaviors that arouse emotions. When we experience emotions, we feel justified in having them. The justification is our way of believing that what we believe is obviously true. When we feel this way, it's time to re-examine what seems obvious to us. So step one is to pause when emotional or distressed. Our judgments are most clouded when we're in the grip of emotions, and that's usually in the first 90 seconds. What makes it worse is that it feels right. An angry person can paint their anger as a virtue and call it righteous indignation. So it's worth examining all of our emotional reactions. When we experience negative emotions, we're probably in the grip of unexamined judgments. Emotions are often not under our control, so let's take a look at them. Suspension of the judgment is the best way to avoid over-hasty commitment to that opinion or belief. We suspend our judgment when we pause. That's important, and we can do this by taking deep breaths or counting backwards from 10 to 1. You might have to do that more than once, but the most important thing is to train ourselves to pause before we act whenever we're emotional. Step two is to look at exactly what happened. We don't look at what happened because we believe we already know. A quiet spouse is uncommunicative. The boss who disagrees with you doesn't respect you. A friend who says no is ungrateful, etc. If you've already decided that your spouse is uncommunicative or your boss doesn't respect you, you're unlikely to look any further. We never examine what is obvious to us. If we really want to consider the obvious in order to reduce the negative emotions, we should look only at what happened. Your spouse was quiet. Your boss disagreed with you. A friend said no. 3. Examine your judgment. When we paused, we suspended our judgment. Then we isolated the event without assigning any meaning to it. When we examine our first impressions or judgments, we realize that our judgment is not the only possible one. There are other possibilities. For example, the boss who disagrees with you may do so because he or she has different ideas, not because they think your idea is bad. Or 2, your idea is genuinely weak. Or even 3, both ideas are good and that person simply prefers their own. Step 4, realize that your judgment is the problem. Once we clearly see the difference between an event and our judgment of it, and that several alternative judgments are possible, something else becomes obvious. What bothers us is not what happens, but how we interpret it. Our problems can disappear once we stop adding our judgment. Have a diamond day, everybody.